Let's see, the first thing on the agenda is to accept the meeting minutes of October 1st and February 8th for review. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, great. So we're looking for 3 members to go to the capital budget committee meetings. We don't have the schedule yet, do we?
Yeah, we don't, because we don't even know how the requests aren't due yet.
Aren't due yet.
So,
Okay.
It's normally 2 days in March. There's one day where you will hear all the presentations. They're usually about 15, 20 minutes each. So obviously if you get 3, it's a shorter day than if you get 10.
Yeah. And
And
then
then-
usually during the day, right?
They are, because the department heads work during the day.
Mhm.
And then the following week, the committee reconvenes to vote on their recommendation.
Okay. Any volunteers to do that?
Yeah.
Scott, you
Mr.
want to do it?
Jim.
I know you've done it
Scott.
before.
Yeah, and I have done it before, so if someone else wants to, that's certainly
Okay.
fine, but
Jim,
Yep.
you're interested?
You'll willingly
I
give that
am.
up.
I enjoy it, just
Cheryl?
if someone else
Yeah.
wants to.
Okay.
I just can't with the new job during the
Never
year.
been there, right?
Oh, so we have 3.
It's good to do.
Good, worked out well.
3 volunteers. Do I have a motion to appoint Scott, Jim, and Cheryl to the capital budget
I
committee?
make a motion that we appoint
John?
John.
Scott.
Scott, James, and Cheryl to the capital budget committee.
No, second.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a
All
long
those
day.
in favor?
Aye.
I'm just going off the
Anybody
train.
opposed?
Gotcha.
No? Okay, great. That's
Days
done.
started at 7.
Thank you. Yeah, that's actually a fun thing to do. Okay, so we are on to data processing. Welcome.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Pull up a chair. And tell us about your budget, please.
All right. Data processing coordinator, put in for a 2% raise.
Okay.
Office equipment and repairs, same as last year, 1,000. GIS, same as 1,000.
Okay.
Data processing services went up 1,000. That's based on KDS. They go up faithfully about $1,000 a year.
Okay.
I'll leave network consultants for a second. Internet connection is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Comcast has actually gone down, which is a treat. So we're actually getting more coverage, more bandwidth for the same price. Which is,
So can you negotiate for me?
And me. I'm up to 300.
It's crazy, right?
No.
I don't even watch any there.
No, I hear you.
network equipment, same as last year. Computer supplies, same,
Okay.
and computer equipment, same. So those are all the same.
Okay.
The network consultant line has gone up. It's basically two phases, two facets. One is the contracts on renewals on equipment. The problem is, some of our equipment is getting older.
Okay.
I mean, in our term, it doesn't really seem like old, but in the term of technology, it is. So each year it gets older, the cost of the contract goes up.
Yeah.
And
My son
then
tells me if his phone's
bite the
6
bullet
months
and
old, it's
replace
old.
it. I'm sorry?
My son tells me if his phone's 6 months old, it's antiquated.
Yeah, exactly. But if, you get you replace the device, then you've got 3-year warranty on it.
Okay.
But you can't take a chance and not put a contract on it, because that gives Hub, because they're the ones that work on it, they get, instant service, and
Right.
if parts of something go, they're overnighted out.
Okay.
So these are the critical things, like the servers, the firewall, the switches, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So those have gone up. And the other part is Hub's part. They've gone up a chunk this year too.
Okay. Is this equipment we're gonna have to replace soon, or?
It is. I mean, I like the phone system, for instance. The phone system, I think, went in 16 for the school, 17 for the town. I don't really want to replace it, but I think that the cost of that is almost up to, I think it was $18,000 for a contract on that. So I think they've got newer and better things, cloud-based rather than wired throughout the whole, the town and everything else. So
Yeah.
instead of all these equipment and so forth, so
Is Hub the telephones?
they will service the phones. Yeah.
Because you've got two groups here servicing things.
Yes.
And what does Hub do specifically?
They actually oversee our whole network. They line up the service, anything, that I need done, I go through them. All the purchasing goes through them. And then they in turn maintain it. Like they've got a system in place now, and I mean, you pay for it, but if a server goes down during the night,
Right.
an automatic alarm is triggered. I get an email, and the on-call technician gets an email. So there's no more wait until the next morning when somebody comes in and finds out, oh, something's out. They know it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Their engineers are very good, and they're a diverse bunch of guys too. So if somebody's more, better versed on servers than switches and so forth, they collaborate. They
Yeah.
work together.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect science,
Yep.
but in the grand scheme of things, I'm very, very happy with the work they do for us.
So
Okay.
this whole thing is Hub.
Yes, basically, yeah.
Is that a normal?
Because we get our we buy our network equipment and so forth through them also.
So you think close to 20% is reasonable? I mean,
Uh,
seems like a lot to me.
I don't disagree with you. They did add another component into this that they're not going to charge us for this year. And that is we have a bunch of super users that will have on their computer an icon that will actually connect them directly to Hub.
Yeah.
In other words, if they have a problem, they click this and they're right in touch with an engineer versus having to reach out to me and me get in touch with Hub. So there's 25, I think, super users. So that.
Well, I mean, I know we need them.
Yeah.
It just struck me as being a huge jump.
Yeah, right.
Percentage-wise.
I certainly
well,
questioned it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we did a little bit of battle on this too. To try to get it to where it's somewhat manageable.
Mhm.
But you can't live with them and you can't live
That's
without
right.
them. And the other thing is too, if you bring somebody else in, how long is it going to take for them to come up to speed? And
Right.
what do you know about the price difference?
That's right.
So it's.
I
don't know.
agree.
I'm happy with who we're working
It's the
with.
state of the industry
Yep,
today.
they came in 2000 and I think 2005, the year before I retired.
Right.
And we've been with them almost 20 years that we've been with them.
Yeah.
And I've seen them grow also.
Yeah.
So are they local and
They're in Easton.
Okay, and they're responsive.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of the stuff they do is online.
Mm-hmm.
But if they have to have
Oh,
an
yeah.
engineer come out, they're out,
Okay.
and it's quick.
Is that
And
an
a lot of them
additional
live in the
cost
area.
or not?
No, that's all included. The only thing that isn't is if we buy like a new piece of equipment.
Right.
Or replace a piece of equipment. But as far as service goes, we have a whole list of stuff, but
Right.
the day-to-day operation service switches, all that's all included. I never get a bill for that stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Scott, I think you have some expertise in this area, right?
I
Do you have
used
any
to.
questions?
Mhm.
Or
No, I really, looking at it and what he's saying,
makes sense?
it makes sense. The only thing is, we've been with them for 20 years, and I would say you'd want to keep up sooner so that way you do get to be able to kind of keep the newer versus trying to, but the money we're talking about, I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Crazy.
sure for some of this, like the phone system and so forth, would be a capital item.
Right.
Mhm.
But I don't want to jump into it all. I don't want to tear the whole place apart either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you gotta
That's-
do some research and,
that can be a challenge.
yeah.
But I've got a list of like switches that are
Mhm.
10 years old,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to start replacing them.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions on this budget or?
No.
No? Okay, great.
Thank you,
Thank you
folks.
so much.
Thank
you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
Who's up next? The library. We always love the library. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Harry. I've got my thing going with my app and I borrow books on my
Awesome.
Kindle. It's awesome.
We love it when
I love
people
it.
are library users. Okay, So for our budget, we are asking for 3%. The first three line items are staff salaries, so 3% increase. It does look like a little bit more than 3% because there's 52.2 weeks this year.
Oh.
Who knew? I didn't. I calculated it without that at first, and then I had to go back. There's a decrease in longevity this year from moving around staff changes.
Okay.
Let's see. Heating and electricity, we're keeping the same. Janitorial property maintenance, I put in for a 2% increase. That is for our janitor who comes in 3 times a week and cleans and takes care of our trash and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Office repairs and maintenance, property maintenance and building repairs, we are keeping the same.
Mm-hmm.
Technology, it's a 23% jump, but that's about $1,000. What I did was I went off of what we spent in FY23 and just brought it up to that because in FY23 we spent more than we were approved for in 2024.
So you just brought it to the actual.
Exactly, yes. Telephone, we are keeping the same. Office supplies, the same. Books and periodicals, there's an increase of 2.84%. That line item, we have to spend a specific percentage of our budget on materials, books, online resources and everything. So that's the increase there.
Mm-hmm.
Special programs is a $500 increase. That goes to sales, which is the network that we belong to. That provides us with a lot of different support and programming as well.
Can I ask a question on sales?
Absolutely.
Have they repaired their site yet?
The app.
The app?
No, they're shopping around. They want to find a new platform to put it on, so they're still shopping around. So hopefully in
miss
the
it.
next couple of months. I know. I had no idea how many people use that app until it went down, and everybody's been asking about it. So hopefully
Nice.
soon. Dues and meetings we're keeping the same. And then equipment replacement, I did the same. I brought it up to what we spent in FY23, so it's an increase of $100. And that's everything.
Reasonable.
And how are things going at the library? I think there was some challenges with some of the kids after school and things. Has that sort
Yeah.
of settled down?
It has settled down. You know, there's ups and downs. A lot of the times it's just because it's after school and
Right.
they're kind of getting all their energy out. But
Mhm.
it's calmed down a little bit now.
Good.
And overall, I think things are going really well there.
Good. And you get a lot of people coming in. Using
We
the
do, very
services.
consistent. We probably we have to keep track, so it's around like 400 to 500 people a week. And we have programming almost every day, and they're pretty well attended, especially the children's programs.
So you're getting everything you need?
I think so.
I mean,
Yeah.
not a big increase.
I know,
anywhere,
yeah.
so-
But we seem to be doing well with what we have for our budget. I didn't want to ask for extra things. We also process passports, and that helps us a lot with our programming budget. That's what we
Good.
use the
Good.
fees that we get for that for.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, we've been doing a lot of programming for adults, especially too, and crafts and lots of different things. So
That's
it's
great.
been good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Any questions on this budget? No? Great. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks a
Nice
lot.
to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Are you here to do the assessors?
We are.
Okay, come on down.
You're the next.
Right?
We made this nice and simple.
You
for
can bring a
us.
chair up, have two,
Well, it's hard.
whatever you're
Just do
comfortable
like
with.
Most of our stuff stayed the same.
Okay,
The only big increases we had were contractual increases, so nothing we could really do about that. Our postage did go up by $39, and we did add $1,000 in for training over what we had for last year, because this is Daniela's first year as the assessor.
Okay.
So we wanna make sure she gets all the extra training that she may need with all the changes and things that are going on. And whoever we get to replace her, we wanna make sure that they have all the training they need to stay up to speed and be able to fill her shoes. So we just wanna make sure that we have a well-oiled machine down there.
So we're hiring? Is that what I'm hearing?
We will be. You looking?
Thank you.
We will be, but we stayed pretty much consistent with everything.
Okay, so this Patriot Properties thing is always like a thing. Is that working out?
Patriot Properties, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I thought,
Yep.
there was like this, we bought something and it was supposed to save us some money and,
That was back when we went, that was when I first got on the board.
Okay.
The conversation was that by changing the part-time assessor to full-time,
yeah,
that would decrease that, but
Yeah.
that wasn't really
practical.
how it was gonna work, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
with the way everything is gone.
Okay,
So we would love to decrease that if we could, but unfortunately, that's just not an option.
okay.
They do all our assessments, is that what they do, Patriot?
They don't do all the assessments, no. They do help with some of the stuff and take care of some of the things, but our assessor does go out into the field and do assessments and evaluations and all of that stuff.
And how are the, abatements? Are they in control?
So far,
Okay.
we didn't get a ton of them.
Okay, that's great. Cause
So
I
that's
think there
always
was
a
some
good thing.
concern about that too, like the abatements were gonna go up.
Well, people were
Not
always,
seen that.
Unfortunately, after COVID, everybody's
Yeah.
home values went up
Yeah.
and taxes, and it's just, unfortunately, West Bridgewater has become extremely desirable. But abatements aren't out of control crazy, I wouldn't say.
Okay.
No, so we're good.
Great, great. Well, any questions on this budget?
No.
No? Welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Lady?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
It's funny how $1,000 can go up to 6%.
I know, right?
I know, it's,
Next one, boy, the water budget gets bigger and bigger.
yeah, any
Some
sign of
pages,
rain
they
or?
like
So I
line
texted
item
him,
everything.
he said he's on his way.
Okay, do you
So,
wanna go through some of these others while
Yeah,
we
we
wait?
can, I'll do
We
the
do
8
wanna
o'clock,
go.
I'll do the 8 o'clock budgets if that's okay with
Yeah.
everybody. Excuse me. So the town accountant budget, as you see, the only changes on it are contractual for both the clerical and for the director.
I'm still in the water department, I'm like, why am I not seeing that? Okay, so
Good to me.
any questions on this one?
No.
Okay.
Town council budget, we'll leave it level funded. Before I got here, we used to spend over $100,000 every year. We've never spent more than $87,000. Last year, you could see our actual was just under 51 grand.
Yeah.
So we do a pretty good job of keeping it under control.
Mm-hmm,
Obviously, it's variable,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
The only other item I will tell you is that this year, we are seeing a lot more code enforcement. And so as a result, we have some increase in our legal expenses that year over year that you'll see next year.
Okay, code enforcement.
When business is not necessarily
Oh,
staying within the lines
Okay.
and historically, we didn't have a planner. So part of that planner's role is to make sure that all of those businesses, when they get a ZBA decision or a planning board decision, to make sure that they stay within their decision.
got it.
And if you don't have enough people being able to monitor it.
Yep.
So, I'll just
Did they
use,
get a new person that they're able to monitor it? Or
yeah,
what
we
changed?
hired a town
Okay.
planner, so
Yeah.
now she's able to do the job, but I'll just give you an example. A car dealership.
Mhm.
A car dealership by its license will be regulated to how many cars it can have their lot. That's not just a number we create. There's a state formula to it. There's also in reference to fire, and you have to get a fire truck in, all those things.
Yeah.
But it's not uncommon that they might have a license for 40 and there's 62 cars.
Yeah,
And we just don't always have the manpower to go around. And then if you do, then you got to send a letter and chase it.
Yep.
And eventually that becomes a legal issue.
Yep.
So,
okay.
but again, we've kept the budget below.
Do we have a lot of litigation going on in town?
Litigation at this point, no. Veterans, basically, it's level funded. The only change is in the clerical person. The cable TV committee, $1,100 budget, the same year over year, no increase on that. The planning board, the only increase again is for the clerical, and as you see, almost in all cases, all department heads and the union contracts were pretty much all settled at 3%.
3%.
That's why you're seeing that number pretty much consistent across the board. Board of Appeals, again, besides the 3% increase for the clerical, no other change. Rent control, same thing. ADA, that is just a stipend position, so there's no increase in that. So we've level funded it year over year the same. And Municipal Building Needs Committee, except for just budgeting the 3% increase for clerical, no other change.
Set to record minutes and so forth, mostly.
Any questions on any of these budgets?
So we got water and veterans,
No, I did veterans.
No,
We
you
just
did
had
the
one.
veterans.
no change.
No change on the veterans.
But just, looks like longevity.
Who's on board, John?
My understanding is it's John Inley.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear.
I had eye surgery.
You
Did
did,
he have it today?
He had eye surgery. Had both his eyes done today.
Yeah, I saw him last night. How did he do?
No, I don't wanna bug him. Just like he didn't wanna bug me when I went in the hospital, which he did anyway.
Did you go for your surgery already?
cataract?
Yeah, I think so, I'm pretty
I
sure.
think they usually only do one at a time.
He lives all alone, so he has to be careful.
Very good timing.
There's Wayne.
Two stop
Going in,
signs, it's
boys.
hard to get around town now.
2 stop signs, good grief.
Folks,
Thanks
Hello.
for coming. Hello,
thanks for inviting us.
how are you?
Good. Well, yourself.
Fine, thank you.
I know you were water.
If I may, I just want to make one quick announcement now that they're here.
Mm-hmm.
There are a handful of lines in the water department budget. One that is tied to benefits. So anything that you see for health insurance, life insurance, any of those, once I get the numbers from the respective insurance companies, then I will plug those back in. So right now, Wayne has just estimated those.
Okay.
And that's why it says estimate. Further on down, you'll see that there's property insurance and other insurances like workers' comp insurance. Again, I'll plug those numbers in. We won't get those for another 30 to 45 days. So he's just estimated them, but before you see the final budget, I'll go in and make those changes.
Thank you.
Internet and stuff too, there's like
That's
3 lines
correct.
for that.
So for,
So
you
there's a
just
lot
saw the
over
IT
here,
budget.
Yep.
So the increases that you saw in the IT budget will reflect the same in Wayne's budget. So again, all of those lines, the water department doesn't have control over.
Okay.
So this internet connection, is that the one you talk about?
Yes.
Excellent.
What do you wanna hear?
All of it.
All good news, right?
Well, how's the water going?
It's flowing, it's wet. We're approved for Manly, but there's a round of sampling with it, so we're gonna begin on Monday because I have day 1, day 7, day 14, day 28 samples to pull, and I don't wanna do them all on Fridays.
So what does that mean? It's approved for what?
It's gonna turn on Monday morning by 8 o'clock. We'll be producing PFAS-free water out of Manly Street.
Nice. And what about the rest of the town? Or does that, everything go through there?
It's a blended system, so, and it's producing so little because we're hampered by, I can't get parts of equipment to replace it, so we've slowed the plant way down, so
Okay,
it's minimal even as it branches out. Unless you were the 2 customers that within 10 feet of us, you're under the limit
nice.
easily.
That's great. That's great news.
So
Good
that's
work with
most
that.
filtering, right?
Yeah, it's a special filter, it's a special meteor in it to remove it, and we've already tested it, it brought it down to 0.
That's
Oh, nice.
awesome. I'm sure the town will be very happy to hear that.
Yep,
Say the least.
Thank you.
expensive.
It is,
What's
and everyone's gotta do it.
What's not?
And bottled water's not as good as you think it is.
No, it's not.
No, I remember I used to always love the West Bridgewater water when I was younger. You always knew there's quite a difference between Brockton and
Oh, yeah.
Bridgewater. It like was refreshing.
Yeah, part of, you smell the chlorine now?
I
We're
do
four log
smell
ma-
that periodically.
We couldn't have Manly back unless we were 4 log certified, which requires me to carry a chlorine residual to our first customer and for a certain contact time. So that's why chlorine is present, and it's always going to be present now. We just try to keep it at a minimum so that it's not, you're not filling up your pool with our water, so you don't have to buy chlorine.
Who would do that?
Okay,
Are we ready?
so let's talk about this budget.
So this has not been good. Like all my costs have risen dramatically, and they're still rising. So if we start at the top, the appointed GIS salary, that's contractual. That's 3%. The next increase would be at the appointed official. That's me. That's 4%, and that's by contract. The next one down is clerical services, 8.43. That's contract, but that's not. She's not getting 8.3. That's that's cost of living plus a step raise in there.
Okay.
The next one, labor, that's contractual. That's 3.48. Office manager is 1.78. That's there was a wrong line in the previous year, so that's why it's 3. She's getting 3%.
Okay.
The next one would be longevity. That's 29.65. That's contractual. We have senior employees that have been here for a while.
Okay.
The next one is estimate. That's the retirement contribution. Keep going past them because
All those
allowances and
benefits.
stipends. So I have more employees. They're all signed up to be in classes. Some of them are in class right now. Some will begin at the end of the month.
When you say more, how many?
I have 4 now. We have 1 more to go. But we're waiting, looking for us. But I need electrical help. So that's what we fail on is electrical. So that's what I'm looking for.
You mean you're hiring an electrician?
Well, not
Or
an
somebody-
electrician, but I need somebody who's an electrician would make more money on the outside than he'd get paid by us.
Yeah.
I need somebody with electrical knowledge.
Okay.
So what comes under that heading, Wayne?
Which one?
Allowances and stipends?
So that's what they get paid for their licenses. So stipends are, we pay them to hold the licenses. It requires us to take classes. There's a lot of responsibility with holding the license. So a lot of it's to the licenses that they hold for hydraulics, water, drinking water, more drinking water than the hydraulics or the CDLs. I think I'm the only one with the CDL permit, and I don't get that stipend.
So there's no other category for training?
There is.
Okay,
It's further down.
all right.
So it went up 24 grand because of more licenses.
What was that?
It went up 24 grand, is that right?
Are we going back up to
Yeah,
allowances and
allowances.
stipends?
Yeah, it's 20, it's a big increase.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Are you
if they
saying
all-
that you have more people that have more licenses?
Yes, and
or-
there's so
Okay.
part of what we're doing with the water department, there's Manley Street that could raise our license level. Right now, we're T2, D2, treatment 2, distribution 2. It's possible that our treatment license may raise. So currently, I'm the only one that holds treatment 4. So the town can't, if you don't have the licenses, you can't run. You're all done.
Okay.
So
Important.
the idea is to get and give them want them to get the higher licenses.
Yep.
And it's not easy. They've made the testing very hard. The test should
Okay.
be broken up into pieces, and they haven't done that. So
Okay.
it takes a lot of time. We send them to school, but they have to go home and they've got to read a book that will put you to sleep instantly. So it requires a lot of their personal time to do that.
Okay.
So you're anticipating more than anything?
I'm anticipating. Plus, when I was a laborer and I got stipends, I made sure I got everyone I could. I didn't. If the town didn't pay for the training, I'd go get it myself because I like money.
Okay. Heating, is that to heat the building?
It is to heat the building.
Mhm.
It's funny. We've had warm winters, but yet it still costs me money to keep we have to keep them semi-warm. I'm supposed to be leaving the house now to get here. Because of the chemicals inside, we have to keep the buildings at a certain heat. They're not 70 or 80 degrees, but they're in the 60s just so that they don't freeze up.
Okay.
And I also judge, I go off of what I spent in my prior fiscal year 23, where I can see what I spent, not what I went off of last year. Electricity went up 5% also, and that's going to, I mean, we all know we all have electricity. It's not going down. Water, so the water is actually not, we have customers in Easton. They get billed by Easton. The bills come to us. We charge them West Bridgewater, and then we pay the Easton bill. So that's why you see that line water.
Oh.
Alright.
They're also building treatment plants. Property maintenance, and that's up 5%. And I've already spent, I've re-roofed 2 buildings this year so far. Vehicle maintenance, that's 0. Equipment repairs and maintenance, that's 10%. Everything is, like I said, it's all going up in cost. If you look in fiscal 23, I spent $82,000 in maintenance. Road repairs is 0.
Things that maybe need to be replaced at this point, or?
Well, we replace them as they go. Some things I can't see, some things I anticipate. I just finished rehabbing one of our wells. I'm moving on to the next well, getting ready for summer. We would lost flow. So if you don't rehab them, what you do is you pull in the iron and manganese, it closes off the galleries, the water can't get in.
Yeah.
So we had dropped from 500 gallons a minute down to under 4. So rehabbing the well brought us back up to 5. If you wait too long, you lose it and you won't ever get it back.
Okay.
Road repairs was 0. Preventive maintenance is 10. That's where I'm rehabbing the wells.
That's a good category, preventive.
Yep. Watershed maintenance is 0. Hydrant repairs. So this one I brought up to speed. Our plan is to always replace at least at a minimum 10 hydrants a year. So that's why this one you see a 408% jump. It's funding 10 hydrants that cost between $2,000 and $3,000 for us. So that's the parts and supplies that go along with the hydrant.
And those last how long?
So we have some that date back to early 1900s, and they work better than some of the ones that went in the 1960s. So they last a long time.
Okay.
Equipment hire is 0. Leasing is 0. Engineering services 0. GIS engineering 0. Data processing. We produce our own bills. We do most of the data, but our data all goes out. We have it done outside. That also includes when we do mailings, the letters that you receive that tell you bad things about our water. So that's part of that.
It's not postage though.
Legal services 0. The network tech, that's the one that we spoke about earlier. Laboratory services. Like I just said, with the labs have all gone up in price, and they're all still continuing to climb in price. They just haven't adjusted their rates again yet. And also, like I said, with the PFAS filter coming online, that's a $600 test. And I'm required to do one at day 1, day 7, day 14, day 28, and then I didn't look any further than that yet, but there's a pile of samples to go because it's a pilot test. When we began this process, we had funded a pilot test. We stopped it. We scrapped that. The pilot test is part of the short-term solution, which was done because the selectmen gave us money and we got ARPA money from the state. So that was all done without the water department spending any money, so it didn't affect the budget at all. But it's part of the piloting, so we're doing it in-house instead of paying somebody to do it. So it's a lot cheaper for us. We're just paying for the lab services.
Okay.
Medical, 0. Borrowing costs, 0. Network, that's one of those ones. Telephone is 0. Advertising, 0. Office supplies, 36%. that's another one where we're doing these mailings, so it costs us the paper and stuff to do that, and the services involved.
So what's the difference between that one and the, what was
The data, I
other?
believe, is more to do with the billing than it has to do with the mailings.
Okay.
Computer supplies is zero, backflow testing is up 10%. We were getting close to what it cost us. We have a consultant come in and do all of the backflow testing because there's liabilities involved. We charge a fee back to the customer, so we do make money on it. It's not a great amount of money, but we cover our costs plus a little for what happens with office work in between. Mileage is zero, gasoline is zero, tools and supplies 61%.
Yikes.
We have a lot of moving parts, so on a weekly basis, we're spending a lot of money doing a lot of things.
What would an example be of, like a wrench?
It would be wrenches and supplies that go along with whatever we're trying to replace or rebuild.
So supplies includes parts? is
Yes,
what you're saying.
it
Okay.
does.
Okay.
Pipes, fittings, and meters, that's up 10% also. Meter cost hasn't gone down. We've adjusted what we charge customers now when we install a meter because the cost has risen so drastically.
So does that pay for itself, like what you charge the customer? versus
Yes,
what-
we make a small amount of extra money, but that's just to stay ahead. We're not trying to profiteer,
Yeah,
we're just trying to
right,
stay ahead of the
right,
curve, so we're not
right.
adjusting it every year.
Right.
Water purification chemicals, 14%. I can't control when they decide to suddenly escalate costs, and costs have risen. It used to cost us about $12,000 for a KOH fill-up. It's somewhere between 15 and 20,000 now. State water tax, that's zero. Travel, zero. Dues and meetings, 5%. That's just to cover our cost if I go to meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Fleet insurance, that's the estimated. Water facilities insurance, estimated. Professional liability, estimated. School and education, that's the training, and you
Yeah.
see that up 5%.
Now, is that connected to allowances and stipends?
Yes, if they take the training, the idea is that they pass the test after that, and then they get they get paid a higher stipend.
Yeah, that was my question earlier. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Tank inspection, zero. Equipment replacement, 112%. So an example here is we use something called Myox instead of chlorine, and I can't switch over to chlorine without DEP approval, and we're working through that. The Myox cell, we generate chlorine from a salt brine solution. The cell that does that used to cost us $4,000. In 1 year's time, it jumped to $12,000. The pump that goes along with it was $800. It's now over $2,000. So it was threefold in their costs, and we're seeing that with the pumps and everything else too. All our carry water pumps, all of the chemical feed pumps, they've all jumped in cost. So that's why you see a big increase
So
there.
when you say equipment replacement, all you're talking about is the mechanics of actually managing
Right,
water. You're not
the
talking about all
actual-
the other, equipment.
No,
in
not-
general.
Not the tubing or the piping or anything else or injectors. That's the pumps and the equipment directly. And then after that, we're down to, that's the debt. Except for police detail, which we held at zero. Questions? No,
How are you doing on grants? Are you
so we
using our
have-
grant writer to help you out looking for stuff, or?
I seek out my own grants because a lot of them require in-kind services, which is my time. So I have to know that I have the time. You're gonna get a postcard pretty soon about lead and copper survey. We're required by October of this year to have surveyed the entire town. Anything that we don't have surveyed counts against us and we'll be forced to come up with a remediation plan.
What does that mean, survey? Like,
So they want to know what we have in the ground. Like bigger cities, because they have so much in the ground, it's so costly, they ignore the fact that they have lead service lines. So that the state and the federal government has jumped on lead. They want no more lead in the water distribution
okay.
system. So this town didn't ever use lead service lines. They used black steel instead. What they had, they called lead goosenecks. When they replaced most of the mains in town, they did away with the lead goosenecks and switched over to copper. So it helped out there.
So what's the survey? You're asking people?
Yeah, we're gonna ask the customers. There'll be a QR code on the postcard that you're gonna receive. When you scan that code with your phone, it'll tell you how to do the survey. It requires you to look at your water meter down in your basement or wherever it's located and send us a picture of the service and declare what you have for a water service.
How much return do you think you're gonna get on that?
I hope a lot, because if not, we're gonna force our way in, because it's gonna be costly for the water department after that, because like I said, I'll have to come up with a 10-year remediation plan.
Yeah.
So at that point, if I have to go door knocking, we will, and then after that, if I have to terminate services to get in, we will. But it has to be done.
Doing some like education around it so that people know how important it is.
I have posted it up. It's been up for a long time. I think the only 2 surveys that are done is mine and my mother's house.
How many do you have to get, Wayne?
There's 2,600, between 2,600 and 2,700 services in town.
I would
You have to
start
get
on
100%?
Facebook, on the
Yeah.
hub, advertising it.
And we'll post out there. I was waiting for the postcard to get it. We didn't want it to go out when the bill went out. We wanted it to be, and we didn't want to do it during the holidays.
So you need everyone?
Everyone in town,
You're
yep.
gonna struggle with
And I
that.
would,
I know,
I would say what
let's step
happens
on.
if you don't
People
do it,
taking
and what happens
pictures
if
of
you
the
do.
so if we
QR
don't do
code
it,
and-
if it doesn't
Yeah,
get
put a
done,
post out there, if you don't do it, this is what we're gonna experience, so people
well, I
understand
can't
there.
threaten customers.
No, you
but
can't threaten people, but I think if you say this was what the implications to West Bridgewater
Right.
will be, if you don't, like,
Right.
pitch in and help.
Yep.
So
And
it's our
we
town,
will,
so-
once I want the postcard out, and then we'll get it up there pretty quickly. We just wanted to get past the water bill and
Yeah.
past the holidays.
When is it due? Like you might wanna, I don't know, can you put up a slide at town meeting or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Might
Yeah.
be
Is that
time
too
to bring
late?
it up too.
Do a
yeah.
demonstration.
Well,
Yeah, you should,
For some-
yeah.
Yeah, well,
Just involved.
More,
yep.
Not telling you your business.
No, I know, I've got a lot of things going on.
So go back to grants again. Are there
Why
more
did you say
grants that
that?
we could?
So we have a grant for that, that's paid for,
Right.
all of that. Even though we're doing a lot in house, we received a $45,000 grant for that. We have the government came out with the BIL, which came down to the SRF funding, so I know it's all acronyms. But it's the state, I don't know what the BIL is, but
Okay.
that's when they said that they were giving out all of this money for,
Ah, okay,
Yes.
and then it went down to the state revolving fund, the SRF.
okay.
So we've made both lists for Manley Street for the $4 million expansion, and we've made it for Norman Ave for $10.7 million.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
but to this date, we're gonna be going out for construction bids with Manley sometime in June or July.
Great.
And we haven't been told what we're gonna actually get out of the SRF.
Oh, okay.
another acronym.
Yeah.
That's challenging.
Yeah. That one has stuck. The BIL, I forget what that is, but
That's okay.
That's okay.
that's where it all began.
So it sounds like you're making a lot of progress with the PFAS issue.
Yeah,
and
that's
some of
great.
the other
That's great.
efforts that you've put in place,
Yep.
which is great.
You find you put a lot back in surplus at the end of the year, or you're pretty close?
We're close.
Yeah.
So it's not, we're close.
So at the end of the day, how much is this? It's 5% increase, 5.27?
Now remember that Manley Street got paid off, so it came off our books.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it would probably be higher if Manley was still on the books. And we have projects that haven't come on the books yet because we just haven't gotten into them yet.
You also have a truck lease off, right?
The truck hasn't, we can't order it. It's been a whole year now and we still can't order it. By the time I can order it, I probably can't afford it and I'll be coming back to town meeting.
So why can't you order it?
because they can't get the parts to build it. I'm not allowed to go beyond Ford, so Ford they shut it
There are
down.
huge delays. I know
Yeah.
that.
What size truck were you gonna get?
It was a 750. I can't buy a giant one because it wouldn't fit through our doors.
Yep.
And we can't load it.
So how are you getting by without a truck?
Well, we have the truck. We just, it runs, it's an old tank. Nobody likes to drive it.
So you're trying to
especially
get
me.
ahead of that, really breaking down and not having anything?
Well, we're doing a lot less road work. We just don't have time anymore. We're more treatment than we are road. We do the 10 hydrants and whatever else we need to do for repairs, but we're trying to stay off the road. So it's holding together.
And who said you couldn't go outside Ford, or is that just?
Well, the town,
thing?
because the town mechanic is a trained Ford mechanic.
Okay. Okay. Any questions on the budget?
If I can.
Please.
So I'm John Cruz. I'm
Hi,
the
John.
newest member of the commission as of last April, which I was elected.
Lucky you.
Wow, yeah, it's just another hat. But I can say that, I don't know if you people are aware, but in the middle of August, I think, we had an 8-inch pipe rupture in back of Pine Hill, out in the, basically it's a swamp.
I do remember that.
And the water was flowing fast and furious, and thanks to Wayne and his team, they located the leak and they fixed it in-house. And if you could see where that leak happened to occur, in the middle of a swamp. And they got the trucks out there, they got the equipment out there, they worked through the night to shut it off to prevent any more water from draining from the tank.
Yeah.
That was the first instance. That was back in I think August. And then come January, I think, December, they noticed water leaking on North Main Street, across the street from Willow Street.
Mm-hmm.
Well, come to find out, when they built the road, I think 80 years ago, they built a catch basin right over the I think it was a 6-inch cast iron water main.
Yeah.
So finally,
Nice.
so on a Saturday morning, the leak was found. They worked all through the night, all through the day, into the night, and they repaired the leak. So that's the team that you have for the water department.
That's great.
They went above and beyond the call of duty,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they did a tremendous job considering the conditions that existed. The swamp, I mean, it couldn't have been in any worse location. They
Mhm.
came in from the end of Mayolas, and within a few hundred yards, and we came in off of, through the sand pits off Pine Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and all done in-house.
That's excellent.
All done in-house, and there was a tremendous job that they did considering the conditions that were there. And there was no complaints. We actually had, I think we had a couple of guys from the highway department to assist as well.
Yeah.
No complaints. They got right to the job. They found the leak, they repaired it, and everybody was up and running again. So
Well,
that's
thank
the
you.
team that you have for the water.
Yeah,
department. And I was
thank you
impressed.
for
That's-
letting us
I
know
must
that,
have
because
gone.
I don't think, they get enough credit for the work that they do, so.
I agree, and
Just
you notice,
my own opinion.
you'll see
Kind of
the
a
trucks
losing
floating around on the weekends,
proposition.
they're all testing water samples just to make sure that everything's safe and
Mhm.
safe for us to drink.
Yeah,
So that's what you have here.
yeah, I appreciate it, thank you, and thank you team for us.
Y'all have a good night.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, thanks for coming, welcome again. I think that's it, right? Is that all we were doing today? Excellent. We meet again in 2 weeks?
March 7th.
March 7th. It's all on my calendar, it's just not in my head.
March 7th.
Okay, do we have a
School is
motion?
March 4th.
6:30?
Pardon?
6:30?
I think so, right? 6:30? Yeah.
School budget, March 4th.
I don't
Well,
know.
I
up
feel
there.
like it wasn't the
I don't have the
4th.
date. I don't know it off the
Well,
top of
The
my head.
school?
I'm not involved.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Thank God.
I don't know. Motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sore.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're out. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
just-
Thank you.